Hello.
Why
Good
am I
evening,
first?
Nick.
Why was I first? That was different.
You know, it is. I am super tired, and I
Oh,
shouldn't be.
come on,
But yeah,
man.
I'm just. I may not be on top of things. Um,
This is why you got to get a Whoop band so you know when to go to sleep. I'm serious. It's been a game changer for me. But anyway, I digress. Sorry.
yeah. So, everyone, welcome to one of our favorite editions of GBC Live. We're going to be wrapping here with JOM, the Gravel Cyclist.
Joe.
Always seems to be into some new adventures, new bikes, and really covers the whole world of gravel cycling. Probably does about 60% of the total content that all of us put together. Of the whole world,
He
right?
is prolific to say the least.
Yes, he may be duplicated. He may have like replicants or something like that. They're doing his work. I don't know how he does it all, but always exciting to talk. And heck, let's just get to it. So,
The man.
there
G'day,
we
trendsetters. What's going on?
Hey, the man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, mate, I'm just a regular bloke like you. Victor, I have to mention something. I heard you talking about the Whoop. I had a Whoop for about a year.
Okay.
And I tossed it in the trash because basically it was telling me really bad news all the time. I wasn't sleeping enough. And it's like, you know what? This is depressing. Get rid of it. So now I have a Garmin watch doing the same thing. It's just depressing. Yeah. Anyway.
Garmin is more critical. They'll say you suck. Like,
yeah,
Whoop just makes recommendations. Garmin's like harsh.
You're very harsh, like take a recovery day, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I digress to quote you.
Yes. Sorry. Proceed, Zachary.
Oh, well, yeah. You've been into a lot of stuff, and I noticed, your big series at the beginning of the year was going to Australia, and let me tell you, you really went to town on that language immersion classes. It just was spotless, and
you haven't seen all the content from Australia yet. I've got about probably another 10 ride experience videos. I'm just so far behind with everything. I mean, it's a serious first world problem, but it's all good. In fact, my background, you can see it kind of creeping through behind me. That is near the small town of Orange, New South Wales. Fantastic place to ride. It's about 3 hours from Sydney. So
it looks super chunky. Is that chunky or is that champagne gravel? It's hard to tell.
Well, it's a mix. It was a very diverse course. I can't remember all the details, to be honest with you. There is a video. It's on my YouTube channel, but beautiful area, like I said, and it's actually in the high country, so they get snow and such whenever winter comes around. But of course, the seasons are completely opposite. So winter there is like June to August kind of thing. So very different to the United States. Weird, man. I mean, I'm used to having Christmas Day. In fact, I landed in Australia this past trip on the 23rd of December, and it was summertime, and it was amazing because I was back on to daylight savings time.
Wow.
So when was the last time you were out there, and do you have like a much different perspective now?
Yeah. So I hadn't been home for 4 years. That wasn't because I was, not desiring to go home. COVID was treated very differently in Australia. I'm not going to go into details, but long story short, they isolated. So if I wanted to go, I had to stay in a hotel for 2 weeks. And it's like, I'm not doing that. And after they all cleared up, after 4 years, I decided it was time to go visit. And I hadn't seen my dad for 4 years. So I was way, way overdue. But as a lot of things have changed, but the gravel cycling had not really changed. With that said, a new event had kicked off in my hometown. You might have heard about it, called Gravel.
Yeah.
Which was affiliated with Mr. Valtteri Bottas and his girlfriend, Tiffany Cromwell, also from Adelaide. And, of course, the Tour Down Under. So I did a ride experience preview. I rode with Valtteri and Nathan Haas and some of the local studs. They promptly kicked my ass, etc. But it was all good. It was a good ride. Valtteri's a very nice guy, if you ever get to meet him. Really
was that officially part of the Tour Down Under, or did it just happen to be around the same time?
No, they actually did partner with the Tour Down Under for this event, which is good to see. And then there was a couple of events in the prior years. One event was called, Gravelade, and unfortunately never got a lot of traction, which is a real bummer because it's a real true grassroots event. But I guess it took the likes of a couple of celebrities to bring it to the attention of the Tour Down Under and also the local tourism commission and that sort of thing. So it is what it is sometimes. I mean, they've got a huge following, and the local guys not so much. But that's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I mean, not that our country is really big, and it's really hard to find like a consistency throughout in terms of where we're at with gravel. But like, where's Australia? Because with picking up this latest craze.
Well, America's still number one, okay, without a doubt. I mean, that's, gravel bike sales off the chart in the United States. Australia is still pretty slow in picking it up. I mean, I can't speak for the entire country, but it is growing, but they still don't have the big events like we do have in the United States. Off the top of my head, there's probably about 15 events maybe, so it's still pretty small. There's a hardcore group of riders out there, though, who are definitely getting into it, and it's getting more and more traction. But road is huge in Australia still. But with that said, the road riding is very good. Well, I don't want to talk about vehicle interactions too much, but over there in Australia, if you're busted holding a cell phone in your hand, you get a serious fine. So there's a lot more awareness, with drivers to, I guess, be more cognizant about sharing the road and not being on the phone and stuff like that, if that makes sense.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that bad things don't happen. They do. But I generally feel safer riding in busier roads than I do in other parts of, say, the USA. Not that I have nothing bad to say to you about the USA. Love America.
Does it take you a minute to switch back from driving on the left or right side of the road?
Honestly, it took probably about half an hour because I was driving a car before I was actually riding. So that was, I had to get straight to a vehicle, and I knocked out a ride about an hour after landing the plane. So once I was assimilated to the driving, no problem. But so those who are watching, we ride on the other side of the road. So for example, if you come to a roundabout, you have to look to your right instead of the left. So you have to think completely opposite.
Yeah.
There's a few things to think about. And sometimes you just, even if you're there for a couple of weeks, you have this tendency of thinking, okay, am I on the right side of the road? It's more of a problem driving the car, though, really. Something to think about. My girlfriend was with me, and so I just said to her, just stick close, and you'll get it eventually. So she did well. Yeah.
Now, I mean, like one thing, like looking at the videos, like where would you compare that gravel to, like what we see here in the U.S.? Like, it kind of looks like Kansas or maybe Paso Robles or.
Yeah, I would. Okay, so I'm from Adelaide, South Australia. The gravel, which I mentioned, it's really similar to, say, Paso Robles. It's also very similar to what I've seen in Tuscany, Italy. Yeah, but it's also extremely diverse. So you have, the hardtack kind of stuff that you guys might have used to. But in the northern part of my home state, we've got red clay roads. So it's a really diverse area. I mean, Australia's like the United States. It doesn't matter where you go. The gravel's very different. And obviously, it's affected by the weather as well. In fact, my home state is really famous for signs state dry weather road only. And they're not joking around. Once those roads are wet, they just turn to horrible clay, and they'll crash your bike and your vehicle and so on.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. It's not a lot of fun. Well, you guys have ridden in serious mud. You know how it is.
We have red clay up near the hub, Zach. I got stuck in that one time. It just like traps you, and then you can't roll your bike at all. Yeah.
I mean, and if you're not careful, it can completely destroy a bike. In fact, I was in southern Georgia a few weeks ago, and that area's got a lot of red clay. And long story short, it was a 100-mile event. The last 40 was in driving rain, and my review bike was, I did okay, except the rear brake got so inundated with mud that it just completely stopped working. So the bike can really be beat down by the conditions. It's, it's kind of expensive as well if you think about it. Trashing your bike like that in the drivetrain, it's not a lot of fun, really.
No.
No one likes that.
Nope.
No. But
So on top of that, it looks like you've been traveling elsewhere too.
Yeah. So I was in Paso Robles recently. I can confirm. Well, I was actually in Templeton, which is very close by. I can confirm I was there for a NV bike launch, but I cannot talk about the bike launch, unfortunately. All I can say is there's a new bike from NV coming out early April, and it's pretty bloody hot. So I have video. I rode the bike, and I'm going to be reviewing it hopefully later on. So watch this space, is all I can tell you. But Paso, as you guys know, is a pretty beautiful area. In fact, the ride we did, the big ride was with the gentleman, I've forgotten his name. He runs the Bovine Classic. You guys probably know him.
Oh, you know.
Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Is it Greg? I don't know what his name is. But anyway, I remember later on. Really nice guy. I rode with him a lot during the day. And also Lucas User, former pro, he was with us as well. So it was a really cool little camp, actually. But have you guys ridden in Paso?
Yeah, we did. I've ridden there a few times. We did the Eroica a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah. So you've ridden the roads then. I mean, these were mostly the Eroica roads. And I mean, you can ride those roads on 32s or 28s.
Yep.
Whatever,
you can ride on a road bike. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a fantastic area. So that's what was the recent. Yeah, that was the recent little engagement. But I've got some other trips coming up pretty soon, actually. So, I got a really unusual trip coming up to Evansville, Indiana, which is an interesting place. Long story short here. American Airlines had a promotion, and it basically cost me 5,000 air miles and $5 to go somewhere random. So I said, okay, let's go there. I'm flying up with my girlfriend. We're going to basically drive back and ride each day. So drive, and just find some interesting places, probably through Kentucky into Tennessee, that kind of stuff. So something different.
Tennessee. I've got family in Tennessee, but I've never ridden a bike in Tennessee.
What part of Tennessee?
Well, my mom is from Clinton, Tennessee. It's eastern Tennessee.
Okay.
So it's not like Nashville. It's more like Knoxville.
Yeah, really, very hilly.
It's very hilly.
Beautiful area. I've done a decent amount of riding west of Memphis and not too far from Nashville. But yeah, there's some really good riding in Tennessee. Excellent. But bring your climbing gears, obviously. I mean, just like California. I mean, California need your climbing gears. Same deal.
Yes, I just got a lot more gears for the LA tourist ride, which is crazy climbing. So now I'm rocking the mullet.
I need to do this ride one of these days. I've ridden around LA many times. You guys have obviously ridden there far more than I have. The steepest stuff I've ridden was the Verdugo Mountains, just on the edge of Burbank.
Well, that's most of it. So you've already done it.
Holy jeez, man. I mean, I rode that the day before Rock Cobble last year, and it was a mistake. And I had a 3140. It wasn't low enough.
No. Why did you do it before Rock Cobbler?
I said to myself, I'll just test my gearing out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know how it goes. So to make sure it worked okay. Yes. Actually, the funny thing was, speaking of Rock Cobbler and Bakersfield, the trip I mentioned out to California, I flew in and out of Bakersfield, and I did drop by Action Sports because I was hoping to see Sam Ames, promoter. Unfortunately, he wasn't there. But whilst I was in town, I also visited another Bakersfield guy, and I actually launched a video yesterday. Ball Cycle Works is a small frame builder. You might know, what's his name? Brandon. Brand, thank you. He's probably watching and cursing me. I screwed his name up. But yeah, so I did a little tour with him. He has got some fantastic bikes, which you guys.
He does.
Yeah. And he's a campy fan, so you have to like that.
Yeah. I know you're a big campy guy.
I am indeed. Yes. Quite.
I mean, just wanted to admit, well, I saw one at Rock Cobbler and at Grizzly Cycles, but also Sam's Action Sports, like. That place, it's a supermarket for bikes, basically.
It was huge. Yeah, I was expecting to be some little podunk store, but no, had a lot of big brands, and didn't get to see Sam, but there you go. Hey, so I didn't ride Rock Cobbler. Unfortunately, I ran out of vacation time. For those people watching, I do have a real job, so I have to juggle my vacation time. But
it's hard to believe you have a real job.
I do. It's for real. So a lot of time management. But I spoke to my good friends, Amanda Panda and her sidekick, the Panda handler, who I know they're actually engaged now. About time, Dave.
Yeah, Dave.
Yes, about time. But
I saw that
they
on
were
Instagram.
telling me a lot of rain had appeared before the race. So I'm curious, how was the conditions? I didn't have much time to follow up.
You know what? It actually wasn't bad at all.
Okay.
The ground was like tacky. It was like sticky. It was good. It wasn't super muddy. There was some patches you had to go through, but overall, I like the year before was much worse. Much like unrideable.
Well, I think like
for mud, it was worse. Last year for mud.
I don't know. Well, yeah, it just was like that one section, the Cow Trail of Death. That was
horrible.
I loved it. I got some amazing video there. I was filming people walking and cursing. I was cursing as well. No, that was fun. Honestly, I preferred riding that course in that direction because the riding up that massive set of hills. Oh my God! Especially in the open sun, if you're having a bad day, sufferfest.
Any direction is a supper.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially if you do the long distance, which I always do. It's like you finished up the short one, which is obviously a challenge because you have the hiker bike and do the shoot, and it's like, okay, now I have another 30 miles. Oh my God, what am I doing in my life? That kind of thing. So
they cut out the shoot this year, but they added the boulder, which added another. What was it?
It was 20 miles and maybe another 3,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah, just what you need.
Well, yeah,
up to the snow.
Wow. Okay. Well, the chute I'm not a fan of, so I'm glad to hear the chute wasn't there. I crashed in the chute one the first year, so yeah. Anyway,
I like the chute, but the chute wasn't there.
But
there was a insane hiker bike at mile 77, and I was cursing and spitting, and it was not.
Is it the usual hiker bike that Sam likes to put in?
No, they all look the same. It was like something like 50% grade and no traction. It was horrible.
It reminds me. I mean, there's an event in the UK I've always wanted to do. It's called Three Peaks. You might have heard about this event. And well, look it up. Okay, it was. I think there's a rule we can only ride a cyclocross bike. I can't remember exactly, but it's been around since the 50s. Okay, this is crazy stuff, and it's very short. It's only 42 miles, but I believe only 34 miles are rideable. And there was actually an American version in Banner Elk, North Carolina, which I did many years ago. It was the American version called Three Peaks USA, and it was stupid hard. But I've always wanted to do the UK version, so looked it up. Three Peaks, okay, UK, you'll find it. Because in some ways, some parts of Rock Cobbler remind me of that event. I really like these events. I mean, Rock Cobbler is difficult, but it's so much fun, especially, some of the stuff that happens.
Shenanigans
like that. Yeah, there's a fire pit at the first aid station last year. Guys are jumping it. I mean, if you're taking that race seriously, which I don't, I mean, it's just a load of fun. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's one of my top 3 favorite events in this day and age. So I hope to return in 2025.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was reading some of this. Oh, okay. 13,000 feet, 500 miles. This sounds like, might take you a couple days.
Yeah, hang on. Is that the right one? The three peaks. I'm thinking I was only a 1-day event. I'm not going to.
Only 1-day event. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Forgive me. I can't. I haven't looked at it for a couple of years now, but it's on my to-do list.
I'll pull it down. Quickly, just some people were commenting here.
Troy, what's Troy talking about?
Troy's a legend. I was with Troy at the recent camp that we can't go into great details. It was really good seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. Troy said he's not very fit, and of course he dropped me.
He always says that. He sandbags.
Yeah.
He sandbags.
Well,
I'm gonna say it right here. Troy is the biggest sandbagger.
Well, there's one thing. Well, I would agree with that statement. There's one thing. I don't get dropped. I sat up. So I found their tempo to be very, very unpleasant. So I said, okay, I'm sitting up now. And I sat up with some other guys. It was quite nice, actually.
Troy said he wasn't fit at last LA Tourist I rode. And he beat me by 2 hours. So There you go.
Yeah, he's a good
Yeah.
athlete, that Troy. He's a rad dad, that's for sure.
Yes.
Okay? Yes.
Rad dad.
Yeah,
Dad bod.
yes.
He's got a
Yeah.
dad
Yeah.
bod.
Oh, no. He's no dad bod. I don't think so. He's a rad dad for sure, though. He's also a car guy, so you have to like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're going to camp together.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're camping at Seattle. Well, not together, but he's camping. I'm camping for Seattle.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, another thing I seem to notice, it seems like, are you coming across more titanium bikes? Is that something that people are pushing a little bit more, or
I will say I like titanium bikes, and I have reviewed quite a few titanium bikes, and the personal bikes I have are titanium. I'm trying to think. I've got one carbon bike. Well, I have too many bikes, okay? But
No such thing.
Well, there's way too many. But there's two I use predominantly, and the brand is called T-Lab, which is Titanium Labs out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And I really like titanium. So, what's your opinion, Zach and Victor? You guys have ridden a lot of bikes. What's your?
I have 3 titanium bikes, so I'm with you.
Yes.
I'm with you 100%. I don't have a titanium gravel bike.
Yeah.
I got to try that number 22. It wasn't a gravel bike, but it was the all-road bike. It was lovely. So I would love to get a Drifter X one day.
I reviewed the Drifter.
I saw your review.
And I really did not want to return that bike. Okay?
I know what you mean.
Difficult to send back. But that was a lovely bike.
Yes.
But I said, you know what? I can't justify. I've already got 2 more titanium bikes that need 3. So I'll let it go. But I do have a very interesting project bike coming up. I can't go into great details yet because there's a collaboration with a certain company. But it involves the frame is by a company out of Canada again, near Toronto, I think. Their brand is Framework.
I know. I followed them on Instagram.
Yeah,
their stuff looks amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, this crazy CNC work. Yeah, so he contacted me after the Mate Show, and we wanted to do a collaboration. I said, mate, I've got the perfect idea for you. And I had him essentially copy the geometry of one of my favorite bikes, and the bike arrived, and there'll be a project appearing a couple months' time, I think. I can't talk about too much right now, I'm afraid. But if you have not seen this bike, Trendsetters, it's on my YouTube channel. I go with a quick rundown of the frame and so on. It's basically a carbon lug frame, so aluminum lugs, but they're machined. It's pretty sweet. It looks like a Vetus, if a lot of you folks are familiar with that, but a modern take.
Aluminium. Atomic number 13. So the only thing I don't like about Framework is that name Framework. They need a better name for the company can be Framework, but it needs a better name on the frame, on the down tube. My opinion, anyway.
It's very reserved. I know that James Wang of Escape Collective is also reviewing the bike. He has one, I guess, custom made to him. But I don't know. It's if you look at it from a marketing perspective, yes, it's not really
not the best, but the frame itself and the way they make it is amazing. Yeah. I followed them. I was just looking at that.
Yeah, if you like watching CNC, machines in action milling out parts, it's quite a trip,
cool.
That Instagram account. But that's a collaboration I'm cooking up, which I'm really stoked about.
Nice.
So, wow. Yes.
Looking forward to that.
Indeed.
It's pretty gorgeous.
Yeah. I don't see anything on my end.
Zach must be looking at a website because I'm seeing a black screen.
All I see is a black screen as well.
Oh, okay. I'm sure it's up there working, and who knows? I'll pull it off.
Whatever you were doing wasn't working.
Oh, everyone else is only seeing gray. That's really strange. Okay.
All I saw was black.
All right. So you were asking me if I have a titanium bike. I finally got my first new bike in 6 years.
What did you get?
Well, Well,
What?
I know you have an opinion about it because you brought it up.
You don't like it.
Last year.
Oh, and so good to hear.
You don't like it.
And you're welcome. You're welcome to speak your mind on it because
he will. That's what I love about him.
Yeah,
he doesn't hold back.
Yeah, no. So I gotta laugh.
Oh my God!
Oh,
hang on. Is it with the fork?
Yes, it is.
Oh, dude, what's wrong with you, man? I mean, do you like 1920 suspension leaf springs? Because I shouldn't bag it too much. I'm glad you're happy with the bike. I don't like the bike. Yes, that's true. But as long as you like it, that's what counts. All right.
No, because
I think aesthetically it belongs in a dumpster. That's my opinion. And it's like a pogo stick. I will say they have refined the fork from version 1. I reviewed the first fork and I had my drone alongside it, and they were saying it mitigates washboard. It's like, mate, it's not doing anything. What are you talking about? But anyway, I'm sorry.
Version 1. So it has been changed from the first one?
Yes. I think they made some changes to the fork. I don't remember exactly. I saw it at Interbike, which is a long time ago now, of course. And I had a review sample when I was doing a collaboration with Bike Rumor many years ago when I just didn't like the fork, but they made changes. But I'm glad you're happy with it, Zach.
I didn't even give him my review yet. I just said I got a new bike.
No, it's mate. I would expect a full review, detailed review, etc. I mean, the fact you don't have any taste in forks is another story, but that's just my take, of course. I mean, I prefer bigger tire casings than suspension. That's just me. I mean, I will say suspension, I think, certainly does have its place. I reviewed the 9 MCR 9 RDO, which is one of the craziest bikes I've ever ridden, but that bike, I tell you, in the right terrain is a game changer. It would actually probably be really good at Rock Cobbler. In fact, my first appearance for Rock Cobbler, I rode the BMC, what's that bike, Euros LT.
I remember that.
And yeah, that was pretty handy having a little bit of suspension. So, I think there's something for every person out there. I'm glad to see there's a lot of choices, but I prefer, like, for example, the Fox fork. I just like a traditional telescoping fork if I had to run suspension.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, and now I'm starting to see why people would use it and why people wouldn't. And I think for here, the Angeles National Forest, where it can get really rocky.
Sure.
And the tire clearance itself.
I
think it's really great for that. I think if you're racing, probably Unbound is probably not the bike.
No.
But what was interesting is the person that won Rock Cobbler did it on a loft with the fork. That's what I was kind of
Rock Cobbler definitely would be advantageous for a bike like that. In fact, a mutual friend of ours, Craig of the Gravel Ride podcast, he took me out to Mount Tamalpais, I think 2 years ago, and I was at the time reviewing the Canyon Grizzle with the new Explorer, the whole shock, etc. And there was a game changer on some of those crazy mountain bike descents. So, it's definitely terrain specific. But now, I mean, I would really like to hear what you think about how you feel the rebound, because I just found it didn't have any control. That's what really bothered me about the fork, mostly, I guess you could say.
Okay, first you have to explain to Zach what rebound is, because I'm quite sure he doesn't know.
Wimbayama from no. I do think
it bounces a lot. Let's just say that it's very bouncy. Okay, I mean, there's another item I'm not a fan of. I mean, a lot of people love this stem. It's by Redshift. It's a good idea. It's basically a refinement of a much older idea. You guys have seen those suspension stems. I don't like how brake dies. Yeah, if you're braking hard on the descent, it dies, which is just not my thing. I prefer just bigger tires, but like I said, it's whatever floats your boat. It's good to see these choices nowadays, I think.
Yeah. Well, I will be using the word rebound in my review.
Yes. Yeah, but obviously Victor, he got a deal and he must be an ambassador now. Are you a Lauf ambassador now?
Me? No,
not you.
No, Zach.
Me? No. I actually paid for the bike, so I've got skin in the game. But
all right, so 1 buy or 2 buy on the bike.
Well, it only comes in 1 buy.
Oh, see, that's a problem right there, isn't it? Oh man.
Well, that's my first time I've gone with the 1 buy, and Vic, when he got his Canyon, you went from a 2 buy to a 1 buy, right?
Yeah, after a while I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no,
that's
some buyers set their place for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I did it for our local craziness, the Verdugos and stuff like that. I needed the giant range in the back. I really prefer the 2x because on the road I like to have the big plate in the front, but
yeah,
I'm not using it on the road as much as I'm dying up the hills in the Verdugos and etc. So
yeah,
it's a compromise, but I got road bikes for road.
Yeah,
So.
I find, well, I've ridden the 1x in some groups in flatter terrain than the Verdugos, I'm trying to say. Obviously, you can't ride a group ride the Verdugos. It's like, hello, the guy's riding away from me. But I found the gaps are kind of super annoying. And when there's a tempo change, it's like, okay, one gear is too hard, one gear is too easy. That's where the 2x is a little bit better. But
2x is definitely better, but the gaps aren't that bad. It's not that bad. You lose top end because I only have a 40.
Well, I find this, for example, when I won't go into super great detail. If you've got a 40 tooth chainring and you've got, say, a 10, 11, and 12,
right?
Those cogs in gear inches are big jumps. If you had a 46 and you had similar gearing, not similar gearing, but what I'm trying to say is if you look on a gear chart, you will see how big those jumps are, and you can really feel them. I really noticed it on the Campy system, the aircar system, when I was going from like the 10 to 11 and the 9, etc. So,
is the Campy real tight towards the bottom though? Like I thought they had.
Their 10 to 44 cassette has, I think, 5 straight block cogs, goes to like 10 to 14, I think. Okay. It is a nice setup, but
okay. I haven't tried that car.
Yeah, honestly, I never thought we'd see this day and age. We've got 12 speed, 13 speed. I remember back in the 90s when I saw Shimano filed a patent for 14 speed. I thought, are they smoking crack?
Right.
And then, here we are. Here we are, one gear away from 14 speed. I mean, it's amazing that
it is amazing.
Exists, really. And I was fortunate to review the Classify system last year, which is 1x, but it has a 2-speed planetary hub. It's a very light planetary hub and it's wirelessly controlled. So you get 2x, but with a 1x. So
I tried it at Sea Otter.
It's a very clever system.
It is.
I really do hope it succeeds, but it's got a lot of proprietary stuff that needs buy-in from a big manufacturer, I think, to go anywhere. But that's just my opinion, of course.
Yeah. So they have more and more wheel choices now. Different manufacturers have jumped on board.
Yeah. The problem is you still have the proprietary cassette in the hub. That's the problem. I hope they stay in business, but yeah, it's good to see innovation. I mean, years ago, I remember when we first saw disc brakes on mountain bikes, people were thinking, "What's this crap?" And now disc brakes are everywhere. So it's just a matter of people accepting it and getting used to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
So I kind of have a Sea Otter question for you. So Vic and I are ambassadors and we're doing the gravel race, and they've taken all the single track out of the gravel race. It's going to be pretty much that kind of flat, smooth,
not flat.
No, it's
well,
not
flat. But
really out there.
The surface is a lot more consistent than
than
the single track.
Okay.
But for if I'm trying to race it, I definitely think that the Lauf might not be the right bike for this. But if you had to do that race, what bike would you ideally want to do it on?
Well, I have not ridden at Sea Otter because I'm always too busy making content and shooting videos. But I mean, I've only seen a very small part of the course. I honestly can't give you an opinion. I think your Lauf will be fine. So I'm sorry to cop out there.
Sandy. It's sandy and rolling.
Okay. If it's going to be sandy, I mean, how good are your skills in loose stuff? Because you might want some wider tires. I'm not sure what your preferred go-to tire is. And, it's really funny. I often watch some Facebook groups and someone says, hey, what's the best tire to use? Like, oh, my God, here we go. There's like 40 different opinions, and it all depends on where you ride, of course.
Exactly.
Right. But, I mean, so I'm curious, Zach, with that said, what tire would you plan to use there?
Well, we had Ali Tetrick on, and she was saying 42 to 38, and she said she would go with 42s if under normal conditions, and then slide down to 38 if it's muddy. And last year I did on 42s. I'm still back to the stock 45s, the Maxxis Ramblers on the Lauf, which I seem to like, but I think it might just be. It was when I used those tires for. Is that a UFO?
No,
Sorry.
no.
Okay, good. But the one thing when I did the cobbler, I did on the 45s, those were definitely a little bit too wide for the cobbler. So
I rode 43. So I my personal preference for tire, which is it's a contentious tire. I ride the Panaresa Gravel King SK probably about 95% of the time, and 90% of the time, because I obviously review some tires and such. And now, obviously, in the mud, it wasn't super great, but I knew that going into it, there wasn't a lot of mud last year. But the 43 was fantastic, I thought, at Rock Cobbler. But from all mud edition, I would have ridden a 35 or something, like a proper mud tire. But it wasn't the case. But actually, I need to segue to about the Gravel King. So I hope Jeff Sells watching this from Panaresa. He's a good mate of mine. But they released a new tire recently called the X1, and I was lucky to get a set, and I did a little preview video. And I knew it would get a lot of interesting comments because a lot of people call the Gravel King the Gravel Fling. So I had a lot of fun for the comments, basically implying that people who get gravel chucked in their face shouldn't be wheel sucking so much. But that didn't get into well sometimes.
Oh, I didn't understand. So gravel fling, it kicks up a lot of dirt behind.
Yeah, like I guess it depends where you ride, but some areas of the wheel, the tread pattern, they're very closely knit knobs. Well, they're little knobs. They can pick up tiny little bits of pebbles and flick them up. And
okay.
Gravel fling.
I
just
didn't
thought
know
it was
that.
kind of funny. No. Anyway, so I was having fun with some of the troll comments. I should not be engaging with the trolls. Most of the people are cool actually, but there was a couple of people getting a bit crazy. It's like, dudes, this is a tire we're talking about here. Okay, chill out, relax. So anyway.
I gotta check that out. Bill runs those Gravel Kings. I've never noticed them.
It depends on where you ride. I mean,
of course.
It was funny. One guy actually said that his frame was sandblasted, blasted by this tire. And I said, okay, I want to see photographs of that. Obviously, no photographs appeared. But, going back to tires, I mean, we have so many choices these days, which is fantastic. When I first started this madness back in 2006, there was one tire, and I was riding the Michelin Jet, which is a 35 millimeter cross tire. It wasn't tubeless. We converted to tubeless using, homemade methods and so on, and that's what worked. And then the game changer tire for me was the Maxxis Rambler. I remember when that came out. That and there was a tire by Clement, the MSO. That's the other one, the MSO, and those these were like 40 millimeter tires. Like holy crap, we're getting some bigger widths. And for years, the tire widths were around 38 to 40, and obviously now we've got much bigger widths up to 50 and higher. In fact, some of the early events I did in North Carolina, West Virginia, I built a drop bar mountain bike back in 2013, I think it was, specifically to deal with some of these crazy descents. I was running Specialized, I can't think of the tires now, Renegades. They were 45 millimeter mountain bike tires, 29ers, and just a drop bar mountain bike to deal with this insanity. No suspension, either Zack, no loud fork in sight, mate. But the big tires served me well.
Big tire. Were you running low pressures back then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, actually, I'm trying to think. Like low 20s. In fact, I run low to mid 20s on the 43 Gravel Kings I was talking about a moment ago. I have a pretty detailed tire pressure chart on my website. It basically takes like your body weight, the rim width, and that kind of stuff. It gives you an ideal recommended pressure. I did not create that chart. Envy did. Thank you, Envy. But I've gotten to the point now where I just feel the tire with my thumb. So I feel, okay, it feels okay. And I don't even use the gauge anymore.
Wow.
No, it's just, I think a lot of people come over from the road particularly still run really high pressures and often complain about being beat up. So if you're watching folks, drop your pressure a little bit. If you feel the bike's beating you up, you'll make a noticeable difference in your ride quality.
So confession, when I got my Niner, my first gravel bike in 2017, it had, I forgot what tires. They were Schwalbe G1s, whatever size they were. So I pumped them up to like 71 or something. So I go on my first ride,
God.
and I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
this bike has no traction. What's wrong with this bike? I hated it. And so I was telling some guy that, some random dude on the trail, he goes, what air pressure are you running? I told him he almost fell over. So I learned like that day that I was way off. And then I
No,
fixed it.
it's funny. I learned the same way as you did, Victor. The tire pressure on I started was way too high. In fact, I remember when I was road racing, it's a long time ago now. I first started riding bikes in, oh my God, 1991. So I'm giving away my age here. But we were rolling around on 18 millimeter, clinches. Well, I've used tubulars later on, but like 18s and 19s, and they were jacked up to 130 psi.
Yes.
That was basically like razor cutters. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're just completely, they're not fast at all when considering what we've learned about tires nowadays.
That's why I had 71 pounds, because I was a 120 guy on the road. 23 is 120.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't even know. And plus, they were set up tubeless, and I didn't know that either.
Oh.
So finally, the sealant went dry. So I go to change the tube and open the tire up, and there's no tube. I'm like, what the? And I was used to tubeless on a mountain bike, so I should have known, but that was crazy. Anyway, that's my confession.
There's a really polarizing subject right now considering tubeless, and it's about hookless and hooked rims. There's been a lot of chat about that, and there's obviously been some conjecture with some incidents on the road scene. What do you gentlemen think of hooked versus hookless?
I have both. And I think what's happening is a couple of things. I think guys like us, old school guys, even though they're running tubeless, they're still running pressures way too high.
Agreed.
And blowing them off the rim, and so that's just user error. But I do agree with a lot of the YouTube pundits that there's really no advantage to the consumer for hookless. Hooked is definitely going to be safer, especially if you overinflate. It probably won't come off. So I don't know. Like I said, I have both. I've never had a problem, but I'm light and I run low pressure, and I run 60 or less on hookless.
Yes, that's the key. I
run low pressure.
Yeah, I rode a hookless pair of road wheels tonight, and I ran about 48 psi. They were 32s, no problem.
Oh, 32s. Yeah, I'm running 28s, like 60.
Yeah, that sounds right. But still, I don't feel super comfortable, especially if you're leaning that road tire hard into a corner. It's like there's no hook there. Like, I
don't even think about it. I just rail. I don't think about it.
Yeah, at low pressure. But the other thing with the pros is a lot of the times, for example, I remember last year there was a crash, I think, during the Forest of Arenberg, during the Paris-Roubaix. I remember someone slammed a pothole, or not a pothole, but a cobble really hard, and we saw the rider with the tire basically flopping around the place, and it was tubeless. I mean, those sort of situations, I think they really, exceed the bounds of what that system's designed for. I mean, we never saw this sort of stuff. Maybe I'm wrong with tubular technology, which with one tire. I don't recall seeing too much of that, but
people will roll the tubulars off the rim. They weren't glued properly, or they weren't glued at all. And people roll I know people personally have rolled a tubular. Yeah,
so, I don't want to get rid of tubulars ever. I hate gluing tubulars. I'm done with that junk. I'm glad that tubulars is here.
That's more scary to me.
Yeah, I think the technology is going to keep advancing, and hopefully a couple of years' time we'll laugh at what we were looking at in today's day.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Zach, what's the next question? We've turned this into Tech 101 tonight, haven't we?
Well, this is one of our big followers, Anton. His next bike. No, this is not a joke. He is 6'10".
Wow.
And so, I know for him, just everything, buying shoes. He has to get custom shoes and everything else. And I'm unfamiliar with Zinn. I think they're out of Colorado.
Leonard Zinn is a famous editor, and it's his company. I don't know much about Leonard, but was it Villeneuve, Victor, he worked for?
A long time.
Yeah. And he had the little corner you could write in questions and ask him. He knows a lot of stuff, knowledgeable gentleman, and basically has custom bikes. So for a gentleman who's 6'10", I mean, wow, that's amazing. And when you think about it, mainstream shoes often cap out at, say, 50, I think, what is it, size 50, is that right? I think I've seen. And by the same token, you often have the smaller riders, and they have a problem with getting bike fit as well. So complete opposite ends of the spectrum. That's where a custom bike builder is a boom, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like because a guy went over to some fundraiser at Bill Walton's house and got to look at his bikes, and just the proportion of them all. You just wonder when you get to, and actually somebody donated a ghost bike to me that's probably one of those sizes too, and I just wonder, like, should you be making everything bigger on the bike, for
It's funny you mentioned that. If you recall, late last year, Moots were experimenting with WTB with a new wheel size. It didn't get a lot of traction, but it got a lot of interest, at least on social media. It was bigger than 700C.
Was it 32 or 36?
Well, they call it 750D, I think. I can't remember exactly.
Oh,
but
okay.
It wasn't 36, but it was still, I can't remember the size. But yeah, that was, I think the intent was for bigger riders, because they've got a couple of, I think they got, what's his name? Reggie Miller. Yeah, he's riding in Moots, and his bike is completely custom.
Yeah.
So, and perfect candidate for a bigger wheel size. I don't think it was going to go anywhere, but I mean, who knows? And like you said, Zach, that's a perfect example where a bigger rider might need bigger parts. In fact, I remember a couple of years ago when I was at the Children Under, I've got a photograph of somewhere. I met a bloke who was running on his bike a 190 millimeter custom stem. I've never seen anything.
190.
Yeah, 190. It's like, now some of the pro guys, some of the European pro guys, they were running 150s and maybe longer, but 190 that's crazy. So I don't know how the bike rode.
Huh. 150 is even huge. I've seen 140.
Yeah, no. When
190.
I remember one year I saw one of the guys from the Uzbekistan team. They've changed the name now, of course. You know I'm talking about, Victor.
Astana.
Thank you, Astana. I've got a photograph somewhere. This bloke had a 165 stem. It was custom built for him.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whatever works. Yeah.
Just backtracking a little bit, when we were talking a little bit about the 43s you were using, was that on a 700 or 650?
No, 700.
Okay.
So I've tried 650. I mean, 650 has its place as well. I mean, I've ridden a 650 and a 42 and a 47. The funny thing about 650 is you would think, because the wheel size is smaller and the tire is smaller, at least in the outside diameter, you think the tire would be lighter, but every 650 tire I've ever seen is always heavier than, say, a notable 700C equivalent, at least from the WTB tires I've seen. There's obviously some other brands. Trying to think, what's that guy? He has his tires made by Panaracer. Oh my god,
Rene Hurst.
That's the one. Thank you. Yes, I've never ridden any of his tires, and he's got some really light 650B tires. I would love to try a set of those.
Why do you think they're heavier? What is just
no? I'm not saying. I'm just
not
saying,
Rene Hurst. Just you were saying that the 650s.
Well, yeah, every 650 I've seen from, say, WTB at least. I'm not speaking for a brand here, and I'm trying to think. I saw another brand out of Taiwan. I can't forget the name, but his tires, he's got different, like a light casing, a heavier casing. The lighter casing tires are much lighter, but yeah, generally I've noticed every 650B tire is quite weighty. So yeah, I don't know. Still, I like the size. I've got a couple of cool 650B wheel sets actually. I've got this really sweet wheel set reviewed years ago by a company called Zentis. It's a 4-spoke wheel set. If you like a mag wheel looking on your bike.
I remember that review. It reminds me of the Spinergies, the old school road wheels.
Yes,
with
which
a 4-spoke
that are not broken. Yeah, actually, that was a wheel set when it was released. I thought, well, there you go. That's the end of the 32-spoke wheels we know it. Then I saw them break. It's like, well, that was a good idea.
Those got banned, didn't they?
You got banned a bloody thing. They banned Spinaci bars, and they banned all sorts of crap. I mean, they did ban one thing recently, which I thought was a good idea.
The head sock.
Oh my! And the helmet, man. That helmet. Oh my god! I'm waiting for someone to do a gravel version of that. Actually,
would you review it?
No. I did a tour of head cycling up in Minnesota 2 years ago, and they launched this. I think it was 180 millimeter deep rim. It was like a fair ring, basically. It basically had a small hole. It was meant for Kona, for the Ironman.
To skate the rules because you can't have a disc.
No disc.
That's right.
And I said, oi, you need to give me one of those wheels. I want to run that on a gravel bike and like say ride on April Fools. And I actually remember spotting a bloke riding it at Big Sugar last year. So someone obviously bought the wheel is riding on a gravel bike, which is kind of funny.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Anything to get around the rules.
Yeah, well, the good thing about gravel cycling is there's no rules except maybe for the UCI stuff. So
yeah. I'm afraid which direction that will go. But
well, I think there's so many events nowadays. If people don't want to do UCI stuff, they don't have to. But I think there's so much going on. There's something for everybody. I like small events, grassroots stuff. UCI's got their thing going on, so whatever.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I want to wrap this up before it turns Wednesday in your part of the world.
Yeah, but no, we got 10 minutes. We're good. You said it's an hour, right? Okay, we're okay, I guess.
Well, we'll end it and then we can wrap afterwards because everyone else watching has to go to bed.
Yeah,
I got
enough talking crap. Yeah.
But John, thanks for joining us again. It's so like we said beforehand that we didn't have much prep, and we don't need much prep because we just like talking bikes and it's simple enough. So
I just hope that the audience was not bored with us bantering about bikes and tech most of the night. Yeah, like the substance, really.
Well, I saw Dune Part 2 last night. Maybe we can get into. No, okay, never mind. Anyways, thanks again for joining us.
My pleasure.
We'll catch up again soon. Okay.
Yes. Okay, lads.
All right. See you, John.
See you.